matchup against St. Cloud State?
Yeah, had an open week last weekend with no games. Really productive week of practices leading into the open week, and then the first 3 days after the open week. So a lot of work done, a lot of sharpness in the practices, and it was a very productive 2 weeks.
What were some of the intentions in practice? Some of the guys said it was pretty hard.
Yeah, just kind of mindset. You know, the mindset of the intensity of what it takes to play a 60-minute game. Game-like drills, none. We obviously there's warm-up drills to get the goalies ready, but diving right into practice on game-like situations that occur, and puck races and puck battles. We always talk about those that lead into the intensity of a 5-man unit being on the ice. So a lot of things. We started with our D zone, went to the neutral zone, we got to the offensive zone. So we covered that, and obviously power play penalty kill was a big topic all through the 2 weeks. It got hit on hard and made some adjustments, and I feel we had a really productive 2 weeks here.
The Olympic sheet can make things different maybe for a penalty kill. What are some keys that maybe things you have to be aware of that might be different on an Olympic sheet? Well,
I think the very first thing is discipline, not taking a ton of penalties, right? And I think we've done a better job of that lately, of not taking a ton. But I think, you bring up a good point, Brad, on the Olympic rink. It changes a little bit in the fact that you have 7.5 feet more room on each side, 15 more feet of width to the ice. So what does that mean? That means on entries, obviously entry plays, and then in zone, and being tight with our 4-man unit on a penalty kill and trying to not expose seams. I know, obviously, being on an Olympic sheet, the power play looks, I think, terrific sometimes because you got a lot of room. But I think it's what you don't give up is the biggest thing. Is the seam plays, the free backdoor plays. I think you're going to have perimeter plays where you can hopefully get some blocks and some triggers to get pucks down. But I think being tight as a 4-man unit up and down the ice is probably a key for a penalty kill.
You mentioned discipline. Last time the teams played, it got pretty intense. How do you make sure that if that happens that way again, that it doesn't go over? Well,
that's a great reminder of how competitive the NCHC is, and players and coaches of being disciplined and knowing that being on a power play or killing a penalty is a big deal, and discipline is going to be huge. I think you got to reflect back on the intensity, but there's got to be a huge commitment to discipline on all regards as far as how we play. Like you go back to the old days as far as playing on the edge. You want to get to that edge, but you don't want to go over the edge. And if you're too far back from the edge, you're not playing with that competitive nature that you need. So I firmly believe it's getting to that edge without going over collectively as a team.
What have your impressions been of Sasha's freshman season?
Yeah, you know what? I thought he's had a really good first half and the start to the second here. With a young man coming in here, a very young player coming in with high skill level. He did a good job with a full lineup. And then what I was really proud, too, of is when, Cameron Berg, Louis Jamrick, some of our guys that went out of the lineup at the end of the first half and our lineup was depleted of forwards, he kind of really took charge there a little bit, with our group here as far as on the offensive side of it. So, I think there's, he's still growing in his game in some regards, both 5-on-5 and power play still growing, which is that's encouraging. But at the end of the day, he's done a good job of keeping things in front of him here as a young guy. And I go back to the things that lend success for him. He's ultra competitive. Like he is ultra competitive, and he's not afraid to make a play. And if he makes a mistake, you move forward and not afraid to make that next play. So again, just having that no fear approach, that highly competitive nature that we love to have here in North Dakota.
How is Stratman after injury against?
Yeah, he's back healthy. He's practicing every day in practice here right now. The only guy that's kind of nicked up and injured right now is Dane Montgomery, so he'll be kind of day to day here. But at the end of the day, Stratty's doing well and he's looking good in practice.
What do you need to see most out of your group over this next 12-game stretch to get to where you want to be in the middle of March?
Yeah, you know what? I think the very first thing that you can point a finger to is consistency within the game. I think we've had some really good starts, and then the second period kind of drops down. The intensity level, the kind of that pressing nature that you need to have, that attack mentality that we talk about every single day, letting off the gas for whatever reason. And I think that has to be a big thing for us. And then I think if you have to break it down as a team, just, guys, there's some guys that need to be be better in that regard. I think we have some guys at that level, but we need everybody at that level to get going. And that's through meetings, that's through pushing guys, having conversations and make us as coaches making that accountable on that side of it here. So yeah, I think it's just a consistency within our team as far as the period to period, and then the consistency maybe individually with some of the guys as far as getting to that level.
Does it kind of help knowing that you guys have already swept them once? I know you guys are going on the road. It's a different environment. Does it help for the mindset heading into this game?
Yeah, I think you can reflect past what gave you a little bit of success in this building, but I think you have to move forward because the very first thing that you got to look at is, they've dropped a few games in a row. They're going to be a hungry team. They probably practiced hard too. At the end of the day, like we have, we dropped our last 2 games and we're hungry and starving to get after it again, especially after an open weekend. So to me, I think you take a little bit from what gave you success, but you got to move forward and what's going to give you success now, and intensity and tenacity and obviously discipline that we talked about is going to be some keys going into this weekend.
Is there going to be a difference in approach for this week compared to previous weeks?
Yeah, I think there's going to be. I think it's going to be the shift-to-shift mentality as far as what we have to do on a micro level versus the macro level. The macro level is trying to win 2 games. The micro level is the shift after shift mentality here of going through a process that'll get you to the macro side of it. So I think it's just boiling it down to each and every shift and each and every player working as a 5-man unit out there.
2 really good face-off teams, and face-offs were a big part of the Saturday game, especially in the last series. How crucial are face-offs going to be again?
They are. If you look at the teams in our league, they take pride in starting with the puck, and that's a big deal on possession. Especially on a big rink. You get possession, you start with it. If you don't get possession, now you're chasing it down on a big rink, spending energy, and I think that's a huge thing. And again, face-offs, it's incumbent upon the centerman to do your job, but it's also incumbent upon those wingers diving in to help out a little bit. And I think that's why a lot of the NCHC teams are good face-off teams, is they got 3 guys that are battling for pucks all the time.
Brad, over this last week and a half, would you say as a coaching staff you've learned anything new about this team that you might have not seen before just in practice?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. And I think each and every year you have different teams coming in. First of all, I think we have tremendous leadership in our player, in our locker room. But I think there's always different makeups of different players and different things. And some years, things are free flowing where, it's machine-like. And then some years there's some inconsistencies in a few different things that have occurred to us this year. And I think, this is a year that, coaches have to coach a lot harder now, as far as in situations that don't seem as smooth, I guess, as previous years. And I think for us, that's why we got to keep our foot on the gas. The players have to keep our foot on the gas, and us coaches as well have to really have a pulse, be sensitive to the situation of what we need to work on, and have conversations and make decisions that we have to do going forward here.